Good morning, this is Mona, and this is my morning view. Today, Fall Edition 2025. It is definitely November, and I want to say it's maybe the 7th or 8th. I think it's the 8th. No, it's the 7th. Sunday is the 9th. Alright, it takes me so long to just do the calendar on this. Alright, today, it is Fiesty Friday. Fiesty Friday. No, I'm not going to give you the in and out effect. That would get old real quick. And I'm not going to use special effects because, yeah, I just don't have time to fiddle around with special effects. It's not about the special effects. It's not about me or what I look like. So I just got out of the shower, so my hair's wet. You know, it's about the message. It's about what is being said. So you don't even have to watch this. You don't have to watch my beautiful face. Just listen to it. Just listen. So, okay, so, Fiesty Friday. First of all, I want you to, when you're done watching this, don't run away so quick. Go ahead and watch this. But then, go over to YouTube. Mona E. Harrison. It's different than my Facebook profile. Mona E. Harrison. You will see my white hair. You will see my beautiful face. And you will know you are in the right spot. And then subscribe. Right there. Subscribe. All right. You'll see a bunch of shorts because I'll do a short in the morning after I've done this, just as an introduction to this. But watch the shorts anyway, because every now and then there's a little bit of nugget that I didn't put in the longer version. All right. So, oh, let's stretch out that arm. Stretch, stretch. Stretch Armstrong. Okay, so Fiesty Friday. There has been one subject being on my brain for the last, since I got up, pretty much. It's hit a couple of times this week. And that is dealing with the enemy. Dealing with the enemy. See, a lot of times we see all the stuff on the circumstances of life. It's just life. It's just, you know, we see the stuff happening and we're like, oh, it's the enemy, which quite possibly is the enemy. Not discounting that. But there's a whole nother realm that we don't pay attention to. Because it was brought to the forefront back probably in the 70s and 80s type of thing. And then when the 90s rolled around, people were tired of hearing about it. They're like, yeah. You know, you're just blowing up stuff out of proportion. It's not as bad as you think it is. It's, you know, it's whatever, you know. And that is the things that the enemy does. The enemy does on the backside that we don't see. So some of these things are, you know how Satan tempted Jesus? Turned this stone into bread. His physical body. You know. I could take care of your physical body. He took him to the thing that I have in my head. I don't have all of them in my head right now. What I have in my head, and if I don't say it, it's just going to just keep taking over the brain to get it out. And that's when he took him to the pillar, the high spot. And to the high place. Took him to the high place. And he overlooked the whole earth, the whole world. And the devil said, hey, I can give you all of this if you bow down and worship me. Now, I don't think he showed Jesus just the world as it was during that time period. I'm thinking he showed him throughout the generations. Now, mind you, the devil does not know the future. He does not. He doesn't know the future. But he can absolutely manipulate the future to make it appear like he said it would appear. So it would give him this falseness that he is some prophetic, all-knowing creature. He is not. When you go to a psychic and they say, oh, you're going to meet this tall, handsome, young, strapping man who's going to be the love of your life. And he comes in, you walk out of the place and, you know, maybe that day or a couple of days later, all of a sudden this young, strapping, handsome young man comes waltzing into your life. And the minute you've made agreement with the enemy, you have left yourself open to an open door for the enemy to do whatever he wants. It's called legal ground. You're signing a contract, if you will, a verbal contract, or it could be other types of contracts. But it's a contract nonetheless. And you don't read the fine print of the contract. But it's legal and binding. And when the enemy has a legal binding right to you, he can do whatever he wants. Christians do not give legal binding right to the enemy. Oh, but do they? What comes out of your mouth? Do you make agreements with the enemy? When somebody says, oh yeah, we're going to just all grow old one day and be decrepit and die, you know, as an old decrepit individual, broke down, poor, you know, they're taxing us out, you know, and just give a complete negative report. Complete negative report. Look at what they're doing to us, you know. It's inevitable. It's all doom and gloom. Mind you, the enemy can also make it pretty. You can make it pretty. Doesn't have to look like doom and gloom for the enemy. You know, because if it looks like death and destruction, guess what? John 10:10, it's the enemy. But just because it looks all glittery and gold doesn't mean it's not the enemy. So, you have the enemy that you make agreement with that you don't even know you're making an agreement with him, thereby opening doors and windows for the enemy to do whatever he wants. Remember, we are wrestling against flesh and we're not wrestling against flesh and blood. We're wrestling against principalities and powers in high places. The prince of the air. Prince, he's not king. We talked about that this week. He is not king. There are people that manipulate things behind the scenes in our government, in wealth, in entertainment, in all sorts of things. In the 80s, there was a hardcore stand in the Christian realm against rock music. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not against secular music. I am not. And we listen to secular music in our house quite a bit. My husband is old core, classic rock type of person. I like jazz, blues, R&B. That's more my vibe. Don't ask me any of who I listen to. I couldn't tell you. I am not a entertainment trivia person. That pink pie, if I ever lost Trivia Pursuit, the pink pie is the one that put me under. Telling you straight out. Don't know. Don't know all the singers. Definitely don't know all the singers of today. Because well, the singers of today, I think of them more as entertainers. Entertainers. Now, mind you, listen to this. What did the devil do when he worked in heaven? What was his job? He was the chief musician. He was the chief worship. What's the title for worship, guys? The chief worship conductor. Lack of a better word. His very being was made with musical capability. And we're not talking about tooting. You know, people who have musical capabilities different than that. It's Fiesty Friday. I'm here to offend. It's my day to offend. I offend so many people, sometimes I offend myself. All right. So, he was musically charged. Why wouldn't the entertainment industry not have him involved? Okay? Christian music is not exempt from the enemy. It may not be as, obvious as backmasking or, album covers that specifically target against Christianity, against Christ, or magnifies the devil. Those are the innocent. They're not innocent, but they're, it's overt. You see it. You see it. It's the ones that mask themselves innocently that you really have to watch for. Because the devil is there to deceive. Those other rock people with all of that out there, they weren't deceiving anybody. They were just, here it is. They were making mockery. Mockery of Christians, mockery of God, not realizing, some of them, what they were doing. Okay? Some of them were just in a lot of pain. Didn't know how to process it. They blamed God and they can make money by doing it. But that there are others that, no. They're on the down low. They're on the down low. Ready to deceive. So do we just stop listening to music altogether? No. No, that's not what I'm saying. But it's come to my attention that there are still people, I remember they made movies about it when I was a kid, about people selling their soul to the devil for fame and fortune. They sell their soul to the devil for fame and fortune. And it's come to my attention after watching multiple young girls that were, quote, raised in a Christian home, have fame and fortune, and then all of a sudden their entertainment is very seductive, or it's very, well, let's just say it, demonic. Some of it is outright demonic. And it didn't start out that way. It started out innocent enough. Oh, these are good Christian girls. And they're just entering into the entertainment realm with their beautiful voice and their ability to entertain, and they're just great, and all our little girls follow them, and they think that they're all that and a hunk of stinky cheese. And so what happens is they draw, because who are the biggest people that listen to music? Well, it used to be teenagers. In my day, it was teenagers. We're the ones that went out and bought the records. We're the ones that went out and bought the LPs, We drove the entertainment system with our purchases of these products. But now, it's more the children. The ones preteen. That's who's being targeted, is the preteens. So that by the time they're teenagers, they're already hooked. They're already hooked. I remember when my daughter was little, we had bought a album of, it was called Kids Pop or something like that. And it actually had songs of the nowadays songs at her time, that they were nowadays songs at the time, like the Macarena, right? All the little kids doing the Macarena. Ooh, Macarena, right? My next door neighbor, who was Hispanic, was like, do they know what they're singing? Do these parents know what their kids are listening to? No, they don't. But it's cool, and everybody's doing it. When you have entertainers right now that are blatantly, I don't want to say blaspheming God, because some of them may not really understand what they're doing. Some of them may be under the influence of the enemy, and they're trapped, and they don't know how to get out. But some of them know exactly what they're doing, because they've made a covenant. They've made a pact with the enemy. Fame and fortune, beauty, the works for the soul. And they've made agreement. And as they make agreement, they will lose more and more of themselves. They will lose more and more of themselves. But they won't do it without bringing a lot of people with them. And we allow it to happen, because we're not watching what our children are watching. We're not listening to what our children are listening to. Oh, it's all fun. Everybody's doing it. And this isn't just about entertainment. This is about everything. Everything. There is the enemy that is out front, forefront. You know what they're doing. It's a cover for the real deviants. It's a cover for the real deviants. Not that it's not deviant. But when you want to make an attack, and you want your enemy distracted, you'll cause a commotion over here, so that your eyes are diverted to the commotion. And as your eyes are diverted to the commotion, the enemy will attack you from another side. A lot of times in the political realm, that's exactly what's happening. Diversion. getting people distracted. Sometimes I felt like I was in a church one time that they made co-leaders in the church. And as they made the co-leaders in the church, they kept them very, very busy. Like super busy. Like beyond busy, to the point where you really didn't know what was going on because you were running around doing the busy work. I felt like it was a distraction to keep us from seeing what was going on. If you kept the ones that are in the Word, you kept the ones that are studying God's Word, that are praying, that are doing the stuff, if you keep them distracted, they won't see what's really going on. And I'm not saying the church itself was doing that on purpose. But if you don't think that the enemy uses churches to distract, think again. The enemy uses churches all the time to distract. They will use people in the church to distract. And it doesn't look like anything. It doesn't look like a distraction. It could look like the enemy. It could totally look like the enemy, and that could be God exposing things and saying, hey, this is what you're missing here. Right? Or it could look like glittering gold. I have a position in the church. I'll toe the line. I'll drink the Kool-Aid. That's not to say that you do not follow in obedience to your leadership. I've done a whole thing on that. A whole thing on not being lawless, not being rebellious to your leader. I talked about Moses. Sometimes your leader doesn't do it all right. Sometimes not. But in obedience to the Lord, in obedience to your leadership. But make sure it's not the place where they're going to make you drink the Kool-Aid. Okay? There should have been telltale signs that something was up back in 1979. People didn't want to see it. They only wanted to see what they wanted to see. When the music industry was being exposed for backmasking, I want to be able to know what I'm hearing. I do. I don't need any backmasking in my life to tell me what to do. Time is reversible. I mean, the music is reversible, but time is not. That type of thing. You know, turn back, turn back. Turn back from what? The only thing we should be turning back from is turning back away from our sin and turning to Jesus. So the enemy is real. The enemy is real. And you can make covenants with him directly, or you can make covenants unknowingly, opening doors for him to wreak havoc in your life. Job was afraid that his children were not following God. That fear brought an open door so that when God said, hey, have you considered my servant Job? And he said, oh, yeah, I've considered him. Why did I consider him? Because he fears. And I'm not saying that fear is all demonic, okay? Because God gave us this fight, flight, sometimes freeze mode, right? It's fight, flight. I tend to freeze myself. But that fear that keeps us alive, okay? So there's that space where it's fear, but we're not shivering in our boots. We're not wringing our fingers or hands type of fear. It's the fear that says, okay, what's going on here? Evaluate. Do I run or do I fight? Sometimes the Lord wants you to run. Get out of there and get out of there quick. And sometimes the Lord says, stand up and fight. I will be with you. Sometimes you have to fight and He'll be with you. Sometimes He'll do the battle Himself. You don't have to fight, but just stand here and watch. And you're going to see the glory of the Lord. All right? You're going to see the victory. Which brings me to the next spot. Even though the enemy is real, we do not have to fear him like all those movies in Hollywood that propel the enemy as some great force that is all powerful and we have no stand against them unless, I don't know how they ended in the movies because I don't watch those. Why? Because it is an open door. It's bringing agreement to the enemy. And so the enemy can come in and do whatever he wants in my life because of an open door. I am not making ground for the enemy. I'm not making a covenant, an agreement with the enemy. So I don't even watch those movies. So I don't know what actually happens at the end and how they solve the mystery or solve the problem. It's not like Scooby-Doo in the old days when he was some character that was not wanting the sale of the land to go through, so he was scaring everybody off by acting like a demon or something or a ghost, and then they uncover and voila, he's not. He's just a human being that's being greedy. And then something switched around the 90s. When Scooby-Doo unveiled the ghost, and lo and behold, it was a ghost. Ruh-roh. I get that from Rob Reamer. He's really good at that. So, Hollywood will make you think that you have to take care of the enemy in a certain way. Or perhaps they leave it open so that it can come back again in a sequel, make more money, more profit, more lives ruined, more shattered people because they opened doors. Because now they were old enough to watch the second movie when they weren't during the first movie. No matter how much power the enemy has in this world, know that he is defeated. He's defeated. His head is under the feet of Jesus. His head is under the feet of Jesus. So when you have Jesus and Holy Spirit resides inside of you, He has no power against you. Only that area that He has ground with you, which may, by the way, be generational and have nothing to do with you, but had to do with your ancestors. making covenants and agreements with the enemy. Coming from a family that held a whole lot of secrets. And as the secrets are being revealed, there's more and more that makes more sense. People sit there and go, oh, nah, I don't believe that stuff. I don't believe in you know, this supernatural stuff that you're talking about, because, you know, it's just, you know, like, it's just Hollywood movies. It's just life. You know, we don't get into that. That's fine. You can be blind to it. You can close your eyes to it. But when you've encountered the enemy enough times on the side before you came to Christ, when you see things that you can't unsee, when you've experienced things that tell you otherwise, that there is an enemy and there is a God. I might save this next little bit for Memory Monday, because what sparked this whole conversation was a memory I had the day I was baptized in water. That day solidified a lot of thoughts. So if you want to hear about that, come back on Memory Monday, if that's what the Lord wants me to share, because a lot of times I will remember something and think about it, and then come Memory Monday, I've forgotten, because most of these are impromptu, things that I'm not thinking about until I hit go live, and that's when it pops up. This has already been too long, so I am leaving it at that. What are your children watching? What are they listening to? What are their agreements? What are your agreements? Are you selling your children off to the devil because you don't want to be aware? You'd rather be in ignorance. You'd rather not look into things. Parenting has always been a difficult process because the enemy has been there from the beginning. Always manipulating. Always directing. Cain and Abel. It's been there. Some of the ways you can get that exposed is talking about family secrets. Getting it out in the open. Bringing things to the light. All right. That's all I got for you today. Blessings, everybody. Have a great day. I will see you on Monday. And don't forget to hit subscribe. Bye.